So, again, both of these work. I'm going to demonstrate both of these right now. I have Maya open. I want to make a new scene with Maya. So I'm going to go to File, New Scene, and let's save it right now. And again, we're just going to save it to the desktop. File, Save Scene, click on my desktop. I'm going to call it Creative OBJ for object underscore start. And I'm really going to be encouraging guys to save drafts of your like when you get to stopping and starting points, I'm going to encourage you to do save as is. Okay. Okay, with that being said, now I've saved it. Again, class, I'm going to go really fast, so do try to focus because I'm recording this and I only have 10 minutes of this screen time, right? So, eyes up here real quick. I'm going to do Slave 1 from Star Wars, Boba Fett's vehicle, right? So I have one where it's a front side view and they're different sizes. And I have another one where I have separate images. So none of these are perfect for me, right? If you have one with everything's the same size and it's drawn to scale, excuse me, let me get a better one, there you go. And it's drawn to scale, great, this is a lot easier. But I'm going to show you the more difficult method first. So if you have one of these, you don't have to add new images. You're just going to be duplicating. Okay. So I'm going to have multiple images here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, excuse me, not File, Create. I'm going to go to Free Image Plane Options. And I'm just going to hit it. Oh, I don't have to hit Options. I'm sorry. I'll just hit Create. My bad. Then in the Attribute Editor, that's this one right here, this one, the attribute editor, I'm going to scroll down and find the folder icon and just click on that folder. Then I'm going to choose my first image. I have to navigate to the desktop and I'm going to find I named folders. So I'm going to call it, what do I call it? Call it Slave 1. There it is. Boop. And luckily it gives me a nice preview, and that's the one I want. That's the one I want. I'm going to hit open, and it gives me a screenshot. Before I do anything else with any other image, I want to make sure this is to scale. So I'm going to hit spacebar. I'll close off my window there, and I'm going to go to my front view, and I'm going to make sure I feel like this is the right height and everything. So I want to make sure that this is about 10 units tall. So I'm going to move this up so that the origin line's at the bottom, and it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to hit scale R, and I'm going to make sure I hit that center box, make it a little bit bigger. Just nice to have it a decent size. Why am I choosing 10? Because we have 10 fingers, right? Can I choose 12? I could totally choose 12, right? There it goes. Now, if I had an image plane that was like the TIE Fighter or the X-Wing, the next step I would do is I would duplicate it, and then with that duplicate, do the side view. But I don't have that option here. I have just the front view. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a second image plane. Or I could get lucky and duplicate it and replace one of the images, but I'm just going to make a second image plane. File, or excuse me, Create, Free Image Plane. And again, I'm going to go to my attribute editor. That's this one up here. And then I'm going to hit folder. And then I'm going to find the side view. That's my front view. That's my side view. And what's really weird is I couldn't find a good side view from this one with a nice white background. They didn't have side views. So I'm going to use this one for my side view. I'm going to hit open. All right. Now this one I need to rotate, so I'm going to hit E. Just to kind of give a hint of where I need to rotate, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees along the Y, and I can type that in. Where's rotate? And then I'm also going to rotate it 90 degrees on the Z. You'll notice it's much smaller. Right? I'm sorry, what? For me, so everyone's going to have a different scenario, right? You can't just do cookie cutter anymore. So I had to get him facing up So he was lying flat. So I had to rotate him Z. So everyone's going to have to do different. You're probably definitely going to have to do 90 degrees on the Y. You might have to do 90 degrees on the X or 90 degrees. You might have to go the other direction for the Z. You might have a different scenario, right? So, all right. There's my rotates. So I'm going to do, I have to do negative 90. Negative 90, and then X is 90. So everyone's got a slightly different. The point is that I get it so that it's facing forward. How do I know that's forward? Because my Z coordinate's here. All right. This is what I got to do now. Now, they're kind of making a cross section of one another, but this one's way smaller. This one's way smaller than the front view. So I'm going to hit scale again, R. I'm going to have to pull it up. And what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be comparing them side by side until I get the right height. So I'm going to match up that bottom piece right here. And notice it gets really, so if you have two separate images, I'm trying to get that bottom line lined up and seeing how much I got to scale now. And then pull it forward. Ooh, I'm really close. I'm a little too big. So my side view is a little too big. I'm going to have to scale. Pull it down a little bit. And I'm getting them so they're approximately just right. And again, I kind of pull it through, make sure everything's... So what I want my bottom here to be lined up fairly well. The gun barrel's lined up pretty good. Cockpit's lined up with it. Oops, got to pull it forward to see. Cockpit, maybe a little bit bigger. And they're two slightly different models and drawings. So I'm just going to have to get it as close as I feel comfortable. Like, this is the worst case scenario for a front side view. That's too big. R. Let's get that down. There you go. Good. Now I'm lucky enough, I only got 3 minutes left. I have a bonus, I have a top view. And if you have a top view, consider yourself awesome, right? Because I can throw in a third image plane for a reference that would go right here. But I ain't got that kind of time, right? So I'll do that later, but I got 2 minutes left on my screen to demonstrate for you guys. So, next step, I'm going to just take these now and I'm going to push them way back. So this guy, I'm going to push my front view way back so it stays out of the way. This guy I'm going to push out over here. And now they're all lined up nice on my front and side view. And now I know they're corresponding in the right place. Okay, once you get to this point, go ahead and hit save. Make sure you save it. And then I want you to start with a non-triangular object. So you can't start with a circle, or excuse me, a sphere. You can't start with a cylinder. So if you go to polygon primitives, you have very limited options here. I would highly recommend you start with a 3x3 cube. So if you go to the options, 3, 3, 3 cube, hit create, and you've got your cube. I'm going to get it up here, and I'm going to start with, remember our principle here. Start with as little geometry as possible for as long as possible. So I'm going to kind of line up my cube to be kind of like my cockpit, just like I did with the TIE Fighter. Maybe I need to make this a little, and then maybe I need to scale this, R. And I'm about to be out of time. So then the next step is going to be, the first thing I want to do is kind of round this shape out. Make the shape, don't start extruding right away. That's usually the biggest mistake. The first thing you want to do is go to faces, edges, and vertexes and get it nice and round. All right, at about 12:20, I'm going to show you guys how to cut your model in half. I'm going to float around right now, but you're going to have a good half hour right now to, 1, get your image plane set up, make sure they're perfect, and then 2, start off with a 3x3 cube and start shaping it and then extrude. Once again, you don't want to be extruding right away. If your first move is extrude, you're doing the wrong move. You definitely want to mold and shape it by grabbing edges and vertexes and faces. Remember, you can select a whole bunch and scale them, just like the TIE Fighter. Harken back to the TIE Fighter. Remember the TIE Fighter, right? We really rounded that cube and did a lot of stuff with that cube before we did anything else. Boom, screen's dead. Justin, that was perfect time. All right. On Canvas, how to set up image planes for both situations is on canvas. I'll be floating around to help as well. So go ahead and get started. I'll be right there and just finish. Stop.